We were just talking about the Enneagram and this wonderful workshop you're going to be having March 11th and 12th at St. Charles Hospital. You said there are 9 faces of God. Can you describe them from 1 to 9?
Yeah, well, just briefly.
Sure.
What they do is each one begins kind of with a presumption that there's kind of a place in life, usually from childhood that maybe we inherited, that isn't complete. And it causes us trouble. It's a place we sort of trip up on throughout all the phases of living. And most people can go back and say, I'm 60 years old, but boy, I seem to be making the same mistakes that I did when I was 18 and 25 and 45. So the Enneagram just gives you an insight into maybe where that, they use the language hole in the soul, sort of where that original wound was. And the 9, just very briefly, for the first one, they really strive to be perfectionists. And that's a real gift for a lot of people, but for them it trips them up. They work too hard at it.
And because everybody else isn't a perfectionist, it must be difficult.
Hard on them and hard on everybody else around them sometimes. They tend to carry sort of a low-grade anger around that. And the second type, they tend to be the helpers, and these are the people that we love. So many of our parents, maybe grandparents, were wonderful helpers, but sometimes in helping others, they become they lose a sense of connection to their own needs. And in that sort of trying to reach out to others, there's a hole in their own soul because there's something missing that maybe they haven't tended to for a lifetime. And then there's the type 3, which is my own type, the achievers. They're really driven to work hard and to accomplish a lot of things in the world. And that's a gift, but sometimes it goes too far. In that energy, they can lose touch with their heart and their inner life because too much time is spent in the outer world.
I understand.
And the type 4s tend to have kind of a melancholy and longing for what's missing in life. They see always what's not there instead of what is there.
Glass is half empty.
And the type 5s, they tend to be really sort of obsessed about knowing things. These are people who could live in a library and be very, very happy, but sometimes they don't do anything with their knowledge, and that causes them problems. And type 6 tend to be very loyal people, but underneath that loyalty, they tend to have kind of a push-pull relationship with authority. They deeply question authority as well as trying to be loyal to it, and they often feel conflicted. And in that process, it creates an inner fear that affects relationships around them.
Yes.
And then the type 7, they're just the fun-loving adventurers. They love to take on more is better, really, in life. But the problem is then they can be too much on the surface of things, having too many experiences and not having any one experience deeply. And the type 8s are the bosses and the asserters, very direct, self-reliant, confident, and that's good energy again. But for them, they can also tend to make other people feel intimidated in their presence, and that can be a source of wounding. And then the last type, the 9s, they're the peacemakers. These are just good, receptive, natured people, supportive of everybody else. But again, in the process, they sometimes forget that they're lovable in and for themselves. So there's just 9 different ways of bringing your gift to the world. But sometimes that gift can also have a shadow or a dark side.
Right. That sounds very Jungian. But I think these are generalities, but we all have maybe aspects of the either side, didn't you say? And then we're trying to gain the quality of another sign that we may be weak in.
Right, we do. Ultimately, the Enneagram doesn't pigeonhole people. What it does is it shows you sort of where that original sort of hook or curve is in life. And then exactly, as we grow and develop and change, we begin to learn and take on the aspects that we need from other personalities.
Right. We're not stuck in that one label, so to speak. We can grow around that.
It's a very optimistic perspective, and they call it a spiritual psychology. And for a lot of people, it's actually helped them return to the deep roots of their faith tradition in even a more profound way, because they begin to be more forgiving and loving of the parts that sometimes they can be judgmental of.
Oh, that's so important. The forgiveness is the bottom line, as the Course in Miracles says. Really. That's a key to happiness. So whether it's of yourself or someone else. Let's hear from Chloe from Ireland. This is Starry Night.
of blue and grey. Look out on a summer's day, with eyes that know the darkness in my soul. Shadows on the hills, sketch the trees and daffodils, catch the breeze and the winter chills in colors on the snowy linen land. Now I understand what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they did not know how. Perhaps they'll listen now. Starry, starry night, flaming flowers that brightly blaze, swirling clouds and violet haze, reflect in Vincent's eyes of china blue, colors changing hue. Morning fields of amber grain, weathered faces lined in pain, are soothed beneath the arch's loving hand. Now I understand what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they did not know how. Perhaps they'll listen now, for they could not love you, but still your love was true. And when no hope was left inside, on that starry, starry night, you took your life as lovers often do. But I could have told you, Vincent, this world was never meant for one as beautiful as you. Like the strangers that you met, the ragged men in ragged clothes, the silver thorn of bloody rose, lie crushed and broken on the virgin snow. Now I think I know what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they're not listening still.